Hello, and welcome to this SharePoint lesson where we will explore the user interface. That is, how to navigate the SharePoint environment, what the buttons are, and what the features are. So, everything we can do includes the spaces accessible from the interface without, for the moment, going into the specifics of individual features. That's what we will do in the next sections, trying to clearly outline everything that can be done from the SharePoint interface. For the lessons, I will use both the site we created earlier to demonstrate how to create it, a SharePoint site, whether it is the one I already have, Cardiology Congress, because this site is already connected to many other Office 365 applications. As we said at the beginning of the course, Office 365 is a universe of applications that interact with each other, and each of them performs at its best only if it is made to interact with the others. Thus, this Cardiology Congress site, for example, is already closely linked to an outdoor session. For a team in Teams, it has its notebook, a shared mailbox, and a calendar. There are also many other aspects developed in Forms and Sway that I created to simulate the organization of the, which could be useful for us to see what we can do. But we will also follow the site we created to see how we create a site. For example, to see how we can add items to the menu, since this one is a cleaner menu compared to the other, which is already very full of content. So let's go to the initial slide and examine them one by one. So the home page is the SharePoint homepage, and from here we can navigate through several aspects. I always recommend following the slide and the video simultaneously. Let's move on to the site. From here, what we can do is we have the menu on the left, the home page, the conversations, the notepad, the pages, the documents, the trash, which we will go through next, slide by slide. And from here, for example, you can directly access the conversations, which opens the Outlook environment. Now, if I click on this information email, which was used to create the SharePoint site and the group in Office 365, I see that here I can immediately start a conversation or, for example, make a call in Teams. So I'm going to close this environment. From here, I can edit the page, but we will see that since the page opens in layout mode for editing, we will also see that editing will be very simple. No code, just with buttons. Here we can share the page where the members are visible who are part of the SharePoint site. We can change the member's status. I assign them as owner. I could downgrade him to a regular member. So for example, he will no longer be able to invite other people to join the SharePoint site. You will also be able to remove him from the group. With this new button, I can create new objects inside the SharePoint site. A list, a document library, a page, a space, a news post. All these things will be clearly seen in detail. And then I can also see the details of the page, which appear immediately on the right. And I can also click on the settings, but we will see that in a future slide. We open Conversations from the home page. That brought us here. We saw the beginning of the conversation. It was a call on Teams. Let's check out the notebook via the SharePoint menu. Let's go back to the site for a moment. I can access the notebook directly. This was created automatically, if you remember. At the time, the SharePoint site was created. So here I go back, and I show you the notebook slide where exactly I clicked on the notebook. The notepad opened where I've already written something. We are on this training site. I created a section for some courses: accounting, English, Latin American dance, cooking classes. And now I'm in the English section. I have created 3 pages, 3 topics: grammar, literature, and conversation. Here, obviously, I can fetch all the notes I want. This will be visible to all members of the site. And then the site members, if they are authorized, can access it. As we will see, they will also be able to share externally. And then we have the items shared with us. So still from the menu, we can access a section where the objects shared with us are located. Essentially, these are files that others have shared with us, and they want us to either use them or just view them. Or they have also given us permission to modify them. Next, we have the pages. That means by clicking on Pages, we enter this environment. Now, this site only contains the pages created by default with the template. So the home page is this one, Training Home. Clearly, by clicking on New, I can create other pages and then add the links here in the menu. Next, we have the documents. Here are all the folders created by default by the template, which are also in OneDrive. Here I opened OneDrive, and the same folders were automatically created there. So we are in the training courses. This environment was also created automatically. Here is how to navigate between Office 365 applications. We interact immediately with each other, often automatically, so without us doing anything. So let's come back here. Let's go back to the index. Then we have the trash. Here, I didn't include the training course site because obviously there was nothing to show. There. For example, this event budget is a list of deleted web pages to keep in mind. If we want to recreate an object, whatever it is, with the same name, we must first permanently delete it from the recycle bin. Otherwise, we will not be able to recreate it with the same name. Obviously, if the object is useful to us again, we can click here. Select it. Then click on Restore instead of deleting. Then we have the Edit menu. So I click on Edit. This small window opens here on the left. I click on the plus, and this window opens for me. So here I put the name where I need to click. For example, here I put budget. Suppose I want to put the link here in the SharePoint list from the company's annual budget database. Here I write budget, and here I will put the link to this SharePoint page, but I can also put the link to an external website, but also to a file. Simply a file, because in Office 365, files also have an online link. So PowerPoint, Word, and Excel are online, and so they are not on the desktop. If I go to OneDrive, obviously OneDrive will also be on the desktop, but they are online, and so they have their own internet address. And given the change, all that remains for us are the site settings. So from the top, now we're going to do this step live. Let's click on the website content using the wheel. So just a moment while we reach the site, there are many screens open. So from here, I click on the site content after clicking on the gear icon. At this stage, I click on the site settings and this screen opens for me. From here, I can really manage everything. Here is the SharePoint Administrator environment, because from here, we don't just manage the aspects related to the tool or the formal aspects of the site. Here we also manage substantial aspects. So essentially, who can do what, which we will see in detail later. We can't even start a discussion on a subject like this, especially on who is allowed to do what inside the SharePoint site, which will clearly be an exclusive privilege of SharePoint. Administrator. So after this overview, we will cover the introduction to the Office 365 user interface. I'll wait for you in the next section.